All right, guys, welcome to a special Friday episode of the Strategic Veteran Presents the Transition Talks. I'm so blessed to be joined by Carlos Rios, a 28-year Marine Corps veteran who just retired this April. And as you all know, we did this episode with Chris Inman last week. It was so good and so valuable that kind of at the end of it, I said, anybody who's willing to volunteer to come on and tell their transition story and share information about the transition to help others who are about to go through the transition or might be in the transition, give them some advice, kind of turn them on to what's going on and what you could be facing. Carlos reached out to me, said he's more than willing to volunteer to do this. So here he is. And Carlos, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for being here, dude. Thank you for volunteering to do this. I can't wait to see, the things that the valuable things that you give to the listeners today, man.
Well, I appreciate Adam. I really thank you for doing this. Right? Again, it takes two to tango. I really believe that we as a community we need to grow and expand our experiences. Right? Lessons learned. That's what help us out to thrive through our struggles and moving along in this new chapter in our lives. Right? So we write a book. That's our lives, and then each chapter we write about it, and that's why I said that's the transition, right?
Yeah, man.
And I do appreciate what you're doing. There's a lot of people out there that are connecting with each other, being concise and what they're trying to portray to everybody, right? Like the message.
Yeah.
And like I told you earlier when we were having our 5 minute discussion, we need to change the narrative, right? I think the transition is an important piece of all of us. I mean, we transition every day. There is something that we are trying to, right, to navigate, to try to overcome, challenges and struggles. For us, when we decide to transition from the military, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's something that I think is something that we need to continue to do. Being only a few months out of the military after 28 plus years, yeah, it's a little bit challenging, but I'll be honest with you. I think it goes back with how do you approach it, right?
Right.
So everybody knows at one point you're going to transition from the military. It's just a matter of when, right?
Right.
So, like just to give you a quick background of what I've done, right? So 28 years in the Marine Corps. I started as an infantryman, working out in the beautiful 29 Palms of California. So don't let the name fool you. There's no beach. There's nothing there. There's nothing but this, right? So I love my time there with we call it 7 Marine Regiment, part of the 3rd Battalion, 7 Marines. Once I got there, I had a great opportunity. I had great leaders. I pushed forward through the ranks. Competed in a special competition for Marines where we compete. It's called the Rifle Squad competition, the Super Squad guys. And I was fortunate enough to be in a winning team and recognized later after our deployment to Okinawa, Japan, with the Commandant of the Marine Corps at that time, General Krulak, and Sergeant Major Lee, during that period. That was in the 97. You probably were not even walking around.
I was, you really want to know how old I was? I was 12.
You're right. So there you go.
12. Yeah.
So, and then from there, that kind of like, it really a spark in me, the leadership approach, how to tackle different types of objectives and things of that nature. Then later I got to work in Quantico. I was planning to get out, and then that decision changed my life completely because I went to Quantico. I was training officers and marksmanship and these other things. I was like, okay, great. So there's a different. The Marine Corps is not just 21 pounds. It's something that is more than that. And then through the ranks, I went, got different leadership positions, different duty stations, and every duty station that I took, told my wife, I always told my wife, was telling my wife, I'm getting out. This is it. It's the time for me to move on.
28 years later.
right? I took every enlistment with the idea that I have to transition at one point. So when fast forward, when I came out to the decision of getting ready to start transitioning from the Marine Corps, I was stationed in Okinawa. I was served as the deputy director for one of the leadership academies over there in the Indo-Pacific, and serve as a role of director as well. Um, and it's one of the most rewarding um, duty stations or roles that I had. I hired senior enlisted, as an E9 in the Marine Corps, and it's very rewarding. That the E9 community out there, from the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, it was a really, really tight community. So we were helping each other a lot when somebody was trying to transition, asking questions. Hey, I heard you're just getting ready to retire. What should I look into? And so it was very helpful.
So is that common at the higher enlisted level? Because it's not common. I was medically retired as an E6,
Yeah.
E7s, even E8s in the Army. They really don't come together and do that. They don't talk about the transition. I watched them struggle through that. They largely just start preparing through, at the time when I got out was ACAP. I don't know what the Marine Corps calls it now or whatever. I'm sure it's similar. It's some shitty program out there that doesn't really help you
they call
transition.
it, so TRS, right? Transition Readiness Seminar.
Yeah.
And you go in, and I think as a whole, the Department of Defense, it continues to struggle, but they're doing better. They're doing way better probably than when you got medical discharge and things of that nature. And then, now everybody find a way. Okay, so man, I struggle through my transition. Let me start putting something together. Let me talk to somebody, which that is great, because the more resources we have out there, the better.
Yeah.
I always call this type of engagements or connections. It's like a tree, right? So the tree is being planted, it grows, and then it branch out.
Yep.
No branch is the same, right? All the branches are different. They have different length, different thickness, but they serve a purpose, right? So that's how we are. We are that tree. We branch out. We connect with each other. We continue to give different insights of, hey, this is how I experienced this portion in the Marine Corps, right? I discussed with some of the young Marines when I was getting ready to retire that I saw them growing up as young private first class, and later on as NCOs, and now staff NCOs with us. And I always share with them that you have to have a plan, right? The transition is about what is the plan, not just have the plan, but also, like, have the information. So what is it that I'm trying to me, honestly, was one moment. I was stationed in Okinawa, like I alluded in the beginning, and my son asked me a question. My son was 7 at that time, and he said, "Dad, when are you retiring?" He asked me that question. And we're in Okinawa. We loved it there. Well, I mean, we're trying to go back over there at some point, because the beach, the atmosphere, the interaction with people, I loved it. And my son loved it. My wife loved it. We fell in love with the place. Anyway, my son asked me, "Dad, I want you to retire soon, because I want us to have time so we can build some memories. And if I decide to have a family and have kids, I want to tell my kids my experiences with their grandfather." He said that at 7.
Dude, that's a gut punch.
Oh yes,
Oh,
right. So
particularly because now you're like, I imagine how you felt about your Marine Corps career, or else you wouldn't have done 28 years, right? So now you have your 7-year-old punching you in the gut with like, I want to make memories to share with the next generation of Rios. That's tough, man. That's tough.
So right. So it's the moment, right? So I always said there was my retiring officer, Colonel, just retired recently, Colonel Gil Juarez, that I will probably ask him if he was willing to do this. He is. I love that man. That man is like a great commander. He was a great commander, a great human being, great dude. So he shared with me that there is a book called Transitions, where there's a moment in our lives, and you might have more than those moments, but you're gonna have a moment in your life where everything is gonna be silence around you, and it's gonna be clear, right? So that moment, the day that I'm sitting in front of Colonel Juarez at that time, and they're reading uh, my retirement certificates, all these things, the letters. I retired out of First LAR, Light Armor Reconnaissance unit. After infantry, I turned into a Light Armor Reconnaissance Marine, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to him, and I recall that what he mentioned about transition, that moment of silence where everything's going to be clear. It's the moment that you're going to say, okay, this is when it starts.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in front of him. We're facing each other. And he says, it's real now. And after that, I didn't hear nothing. I mean, our camp it's all nothing but reconnaissance guys there. It is a recon Marines, Light Armor reconnaissance. There's always helos flying. It's loud. I didn't hear nothing that was going around. Nothing. And all I saw, it was my 28-year career in that moment. And that's when I realized, okay, so this is not bad. Now let's just start moving forward and pick on what I left put on hold before I joined.
Yeah. So what did you, when you, after that moment, right? That because I remember that moment too. It's like for me, it was a little less lackluster. I had to go to Waller Hall at Fort Lewis. You just pick up my retirement certificate and my DE 214 and my orders, and nobody read anything to me or whatever. But as I'm walking out of Waller Hall, I had the same thing. And Waller Hall is right next to the airfield. 160th always out there doing some kind of flights or whatever. It's really loud as well. And I didn't hear anything either. It just like whole career kind of flashes before your eyes. And then I just remember feeling completely lost. Like, what now? Did you experience that?
Oh, yeah. So my ceremony was April 29th. I joined the Marine Corps April 2nd, 1996. So April 29th, this is it. May 1st it hit May 1st. That's my first day actually officially. And I remember woke up and I'm looking around like, okay, what I'm gonna do, right? I will tell you this, Adam. I took a different approach that most people take when they do transition. I made the decision that I wasn't going to seek employment. I made the decision that I was going to take time for me to decompress.
I think that's an incredible decision that you made.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have set myself up and had the foresight to actually do that as well, because instead I just hung on to well, what now? I don't have to do PT anymore, so that opens up a whole nother can of worms. I just jumped straight into, because when you get medically retired, they pay in arrears. So basically I had 90 days with no money coming in. And
Wow.
let's be honest, as a GWAT guy who deployed 4 times, who honestly didn't really give a shit about financial, literacy. And, I was always thinking like, I'm probably not coming home from the next one. You know what I mean? So I didn't put money away or anything to be able to do that. So I was focused on, okay, what am I going to do now? And that brings a whole nother set of challenges, because largely as an infantryman, what you're qualified to do, or if you don't know how to translate your skills into a decent resume, you're probably going into some kind of sales or retail space or whatever, which is exactly what I did. And that's kind of miserable because you feel like it's beneath you. You know what I mean? So I agree with that advice. I think it's extra important to take some time. And I've actually talked to a couple of different veterans via LinkedIn here, since I started doing what I'm doing who are like, I have the money put away that me, my wife, and my kids can take an entire year off and just rediscover who we are and what we're about. And I'm so glad you bring that up because it's so important.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I always said is, you know, it's an opportunity, right? Marcus Aurelius says something that when you arise in the morning, right, and you're just paraphrasing, he said, uh, it's a privilege to be alive, right? And because you get to breathe, you get to think, you get to enjoy, and you get to love, right? And that is the peace that we need to have, right? Transition and navigating transition is your own. That's we all going through the journey. That is a journey that we all going to step in, regardless if you're in the military, you're not in the military, changing careers. That is going to happen. That is part of life. So to learn to navigate is just to assess, right? Get that information, find like a way of how you're going to plan for it, and have a unique execution because it's tailored to you, right? So what Adam Peters is doing might be similar to what I'm doing, but that's not what Carlos is doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But we
exactly.
find that mutual ground and we help each other. I was like, hey, brother, how are you doing today? You know, uh, there is, and I'm pretty sure, like once people, I don't know if they see this, right? But I have a dark moment in my life, a very, very dark moment where I have some mentors that probably if they hear this, they're gonna be like calling me, "Why you didn't talk to me?" And it's like, so I contemplated, and not contemplated. I actually attempted to suicide, to check out. I did
Yeah.
twice. The first one, it was I was by myself, bottle of vodka and pills, and I did that because I didn't find. You get to that dark moment, that dark
Yep.
place where, and this is before my transition started, like way years before, a year before that. And it's hard. You say, oh, it's not gonna happen to me. It's not gonna happen to me. I'm gonna transition, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna do this, X, Y, and Z. No, you don't. It's you never know, right? It's that dark hour when it hits you, you don't know. So I did that. I got a moment of clarity, well, right when I was blacking out, and I just made myself uh, throw all the pills, like, and I got that moment of clarity. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, get your act together, right? And let's no more, excuse my friends, there's no more fuck around. You gotta, get your ass together and let's do it, right? So I did that. The mistake is that even though I knew I was going to transition from the military, I wasn't seeking help.
Right.
That
Well,
was my
so
problem.
let's explore that for a second
Mhm.
because I'm willing to bet with you coming in 1996, I came in 2003. So I got to my first duty station roughly between 10 days and a month after they came home from the invasion of Iraq. So life
Yeah.
for me as a private was awful. But one of the first things I noticed was guys that were struggling with combat related mental health issues would talk about it openly around the platoons, the squads, the teams, whatever, but you would suggest like we're the army, we've got resources for that, and they're like, no, you don't talk about that, that makes you a weak man,
Yeah.
that will end your career. So was it the same experience for you throughout your career?
Oh, 100%. There is this myth that and again, I'll take it with very carefully, right? Because again, it's not me saying, but we have this mentality of pushing a narrative of masculinity. Like you have to be a Spartan, you have to be like, a Superman. No, you're not, that's fiction. We are
Yes.
human beings. Yes, we have different individuals that get trained to a certain capacities and capabilities. It doesn't take away that they're humans.
Right.
And when you go into this process of I am going to keep going and keep going. And then I always say, right, it's like a little box that we have in our chest. and we just stuff everything in it.
It
And
can
your
only
body,
hold so much.
yeah,
It can
exactly,
only hold so much.
right? So, but we think, oh no, you know what?
I
We
can
can
fit one more in there.
one
Yeah.
more,
Yeah, there's
right?
always room for one more. If you've
One
ever been
more,
to Fort Benning and been on the cattle trucks, you know
yeah,
there's room for one more.
exactly. Like, and it gets to a moment that something's gonna hit and it's gonna trigger that. And what it did happen, and then the second time what I explored it was that like, okay, I'm now a master gunnery sergeant. Like, I am an E9 in the Marine Corps. E- I'm the guy in front. You don't see me. I mean, my students or Marines they encounter or we interact at one point. There's like, they always used to tell me, I was like, yeah, there comes the pit bull. Like his command presence, whatever they want to call it, but that's just artificial. You now this is the reality, and you got to learn.
It's a mask. It's a mask you're
Yes.
hiding behind to not have to deal with that shit that's going
Hmm.
on inside that you keep shoving in that box. And let's be honest, that box is really only designed to hold one or two things. We stuff an entire career's worth of things
Entire
in
career.
there. And you're constantly battling holding the lid on before
Yeah.
it all explodes. And that's exactly what happened, right? So with the vodka and the pills, and then even for the second time, you continued to stuff shit in there and then it explodes. And then
Yep.
you just wake up one day and it's like, holy shit,
Yeah.
why am I here? Why am I doing this? So I relate to that 100%.
Yeah. So and I'm grateful, right? That I'm here. That, and I do believe that it's because that is a purpose for me bigger than 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 myself
Yeah.
and bigger than ourselves. It's just that is an opportunity to grow. Then right, build by action. You build your life by action, meaning by taking action. You look into all this, right? Like we tried something to emphasize or put our priorities and other things versus what matters. And that's when we get distracted. That's when we lose track, and it takes time, right? Whatever time. I always say, if you put your uniform at least for a year, you serve. That
Yeah.
I don't
Hands
care
down.
the circumstances outside. I don't. But it's a struggle that had taught me lessons. It gives me an opportunity now that because I retired this in April, I'm at home. I get to take my son to high school. He just started high school this August, and I take him home to school every day. We got that moment to bond together in the mornings, get talk to him, and like so try to help him to be a good individual.
Right.
Like here is, treat people with respect, treat people with kindness, compassion. Make sure you treat them with love. So this transition journey has helped me to do that. Which, when I put it in a scale, outweighs anything. A pay, a six-figure pay, anything. Some people might have different views. That's okay.
Well,
You
and
know.
what you're talking about is actually being present in the life that you've built for yourself, right? So you're
Mhm.
there to have those moments with your son, abiding by the request he made to you, at 7 years old to hey dad, I want you to be here to make these
Yeah.
memories. But I think moreover what it's actually doing, and I don't even know if you realize this, is it's actually doing work on yourself,
Mhm.
because it takes a lot of work to actually be present. Anybody can get up with their kid in the morning, take them to school, but to actually be present and have meaningful conversation and create memories requires something of you that I think a lot of us don't understand how to tap into. What do you? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think the opportunity that I have with him to build, right, it is to help me to seek a an approach to heal, right?
Yes.
Physically and mentally through
Yes.
these opportunities, right? So, and there's a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they think you're weak or you're like, oh no, you gotta be, yeah. I'm with you. But
Yeah.
in my journey, right, that's as a transition, this is what is helping me, right, to
Right.
get, work on my body, work on my mind, work on my soul, right? So combine all those three things and build that foundation, right? Those pillars that are important, right? I always say, don't compromise your values or your character at any point. So why I'm gonna compromise when I get offers? I got offers like, hey, I really like what you people that I know
Yeah.
that have offered me job opportunities. And I say, I really appreciate with the bottom of my heart, but I have to say no.
Well,
Because
and what you're saying right now, sorry to interrupt
no,
you
no,
and
no,
stop you, because this is a really good point, and this is something that I think really is where we get it wrong as veterans who transition. You said you have to stick to your beliefs and your values and what aligns to that, but at some point you had to sit down with yourself with all that uncomfortable shit you were shoving in the box and deal with it in order to understand what are your core beliefs and
Mhm.
values. So, moreover, when you did that, it allowed you to be more present with your son. And what's even better about that is now you're actually raising your son in a way that he's going to be able to avoid ever shoving a bunch of shit in a box and
Yeah.
not dealing with it. And I
Yes.
think I think that's some powerful stuff. So my question for you is, how did you sit down and really discover your values and beliefs and outside of the Marine Corps? Because that's the big breakdown, right? Is
Yeah.
getting out of whatever branch you're in, you're spending, in your case, 28 years, in my case, almost 13 years from age 17 to 30 for me, in this fixed mindset, be the best infantryman I can be
Mhm.
at whatever duty station I'm at to defend the country or go to
Yeah.
war in our case, right? And you lose that immediately as soon as you sign out of your unit and you're on the road, whether you're on terminal leave or whatever. That's completely gone. You don't have that anymore. And where we make the mistake is we hang on to that is who we are. We don't ever
Yeah.
sit with ourselves to explore, who am I without the Army, and what does that look like for me? So when did you hit that point, and how did you kind of tackle that? Because it sounds like you've actually done a lot of work on that.
Yeah. So I would say I went to once on my last incident when I was like, I said, well, I'm gonna check out completely.
Yeah.
Uh, I seek medical help. I went and talked to a medical officer. He introduced me. I already knew about the program, but I always was hesitant. And it's called Intrepid Spirit, where you get referral to there, and it's a whole program. I was in the program, I believe, for I want to say almost 6 months, in and out. Right, I would go home, go to work, but I had my appointments. That was my priority, and having discussions with my therapist. That's why I find out that I, being in combat and got blown up a couple of times, but because physically you feel like, yep, nothing happened to me, I'm complete,
Yeah.
everything. But there is other things that rattle inside you that you don't know.
Yep.
And that's when I realized, they realized, they did an MRI and said, hey, you have a something missing in this dark spot. It shows here you got blown up. You get, so I got diagnosed with a TBI.
Right.
So, and that kind of gave me clear view of, okay, this is why I'm acting like this. And then with that, I sat down after through the process. Once I finished the my last appointment, I got discharged from my seeing them. I sat down and I took notes and I wrote down. I said, okay, so I know I'm going to retire out of this unit,
Yep.
and that was in 2023. So in the Marine Corps, you have to. I'm pretty sure for a lot of individuals it's the same. So we used to get 14 months. Now we got 18 months to request retirement.
Right.
So at 14 months, I requested retirement, and that was my window. I sat down every day and I wrote down, okay, I'm going to do this before I get out. So I did most of the things that I did, medical reviews, in preparation for the VA, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
uh, appointments and everything else. I did a lot of it in the beginning, like when I was still on active duty, and that
Bravo,
helped me.
brother, because
No,
nobody is really doing you're the outlier in this situation.
yeah,
And
no, I think that if it was my book, right, and it's something that now that I'm retired, I'm happy that I can write, and I really don't care what some people are gonna tell me. Oh, you're a master gunner. Say no, I'm retired. My name is Carlos. I'm not master gunner. No. You know,
yeah,
so
right.
which I have nothing but respect about my career in the military. But we have to be realistic. Once the military is over,
It's over.
that
You
is
have to let that go. It's like you said in the beginning of this conversation, you have to close that chapter of the book
yes,
and start
yes,
writing the next
the
chapter.
next chapter.
And
You
that's
know,
where we get it wrong. And so in that, I've heard of that program that you went through, Intrepid Hearts, right? Is what it is, or
it's intrepid spirit.
Spirit. Yeah, I've heard of that program. I'm curious, what do they teach you in that program? Are they teaching things like mindfulness, meditation, breath work?
I did so besides the medical piece, right? You get therapy individually in groups. Uh, you get that is you participate in different seminars,
Mhm.
like a group seminar, individual seminars with a like two coaches or
Right.
therapists. But the first portion, in my case, the first portion for me, because for everybody, the cases are different. They're gonna build a protocol for them based on
Okay.
their criteria.
That's
You
cool.
know, so some people are more like in the mental health area. Some are more like in the they're recovering from a bad TBI and they're just
Mhm.
struggling with balance, so they get physical therapy right there and there. The beauty of that program is that everything is in one place. Like
Okay.
you go there, my when I got there, my first appointment, I left that day with no kidding, 14 appointments.
Because it's
Pretty
all
much.
in one place, so you can just
Yes.
go from room
That's
to
it.
room, whatever you need to do.
Mhm.
That's amazing, man. Um, since you're talking about this program, if you don't mind, I would like to touch on the not the individual therapy as much, but the group therapy. And
Mhm.
I want to talk about this because I know how powerful it was for me with and I didn't do it in like a clinical setting. I did it, the first time I had group therapy, really what I would consider group
Yeah.
therapy was when I got hooked up with Heroic Hearts Project to go to Peru. There was like 4 weeks of integration that you go through, and that's done in a group setting via
Mhm.
Zoom with a facilitator and some coaches, and then your entire cohort that you're going to be on the retreat with in Peru. And I was pretty, I mean, you know how we are when we're first, particularly as infantry guys, combat arms guys, right? Like you're really closed minded to shit like that.
Oh yes.
And so, part of my deal with myself with getting picked up by Heroic Hearts was, I promised myself I was going to keep an open mind and I was going to participate
That's
in
great.
everything associated with the entire event, from the integration to the event itself to the post integration. And I'm so glad I did, because that first session with those 11 other people, it was mind blowing to me how much I actually got out of it once I could see others being vulnerable, telling their stories and going through the same things that I was going through. It inspired me to open up.
Yep.
Did you find group therapy to be like that for you?
Oh yeah, so I'm the same way, right? So I'm in this group. I'm looking around, and besides the facilitators, right, that I can associate or relate in an age, right? So I am 52. I'm not that young. I didn't join at 17. I joined at 23. So it was in my, I was older guy in that room, and I look around, and I think that the second youngest in rank was like a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
Everybody else were sergeant, uh, corporals, young individuals. So there was two staff NCOs and myself, at the only E9 in the group. So I was like, okay, so
This
how
is uncomfortable.
right? So how grandpa is gonna open up to his
Right.
kid, right? So I look at us and you know what? And I said, no, you know what? You have to find a way to be vulnerable. Open
Yes.
up. right? Because what you might say in that setting might help that person on the sitting next to you.
I
That
would
is
challenge it.
young.
It's not might, it will. Whatever
Yes,
you're gonna
exactly.
say, I don't care if
I
it's
agree.
the same thing that they're going through, just whatever you're gonna say about, that situation is absolutely 100% gonna it's the whole reason I'm doing this segment with you and Chris, last week is because no matter where you're at in your transition, whether you're preparing to transition, whether
Yeah.
you've been transitioned, I believe through our conversations, the back and forth with the questions, the relating, this is valuable to anybody and
Oh yeah.
everybody who's
Yeah.
going to be where we've been and who's already been through what we've been through. And it's like it's really a testament to the power of conversation. And I would encourage people, I think, to get out of your own way with the group therapy or therapy in general is to just realize that all it really is conversation.
Yes. I agree 100%, and I will add to what you alluded to. Uh, is the recognition and the reflection of just us having the conversation right now. It resonates on us, right, in our previous experiences, and then we see how we have come, like
Right.
you
Exactly.
know, so to our testimony, and which it could be somebody else's testimony, and
Yes.
right, and just spread out through like a wildfire. And that's
Yeah.
how I see it. I think I really believe, right, that once you serve, you still have a commitment and responsibility to continue to serve in a different capacity, which to me is better now because you don't have the uniform holding you back. You don't have UCMJ. Now you can, okay, brother, you know what? It's okay for you to to have tears coming up. It's okay for you to do feel this way.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my experiences, and let's try to to see how similar they are. Because I bet you anything that they are similar.
Oh yeah,
Just
I hear it
different.
all the time talking to
Yeah,
different vets,
right.
man, and it's
So,
it's really cool. I love how your comment on the post this afternoon, right before we went live, was
oh
was
yeah,
great
that
about
was.
starting anew. I love that because I knew when I was going through the med board as really dark place that I was in. I knew somehow, some way, I always wanted to still lead soldiers.
Mhm.
And if you look now, it's so funny because now not only am I leading soldiers, but I get to lead everybody from the military, which is really freaking cool, man. And I encourage anybody, like, this is not just something that I can corner the market on. Anybody can do this.
Yeah,
Anybody who really truly genuinely wants to help brothers and sisters transition out. There's a few others that are doing the same thing I'm doing on LinkedIn. They have their own ways to do it. And that's what makes you unique in it. So
yeah,
don't think that it's saturated. I am one person. I can't help everybody.
yeah,
Carlos is one person. He can't help everybody. The other people doing the same thing on LinkedIn, helping veterans transition better in their own ways based on their own experiences, is really all you need. And it's building a community and this resilience in our community to stop the black hole, or the
oh yeah,
transition hole,
yeah.
as I call it. And so you're absolutely right, man. It's just so great, right, to begin again, to really start a new leadership journey and
Mhm.
have fun with it, and
Yeah,
and really feel how it like fills your cup up to just know that you had a small part in helping someone move a little bit further out of that transition hole.
yeah. I think that just to add to what you just mentioned, right? We had different types of characteristics and skills that we bring to the table, and one of those skills is that we're adaptable, right?
Yes.
We can adapt to anything. So if in this new chapter you can take that, right, adaptability, and we become adaptable to where we are right now, brother, your credibility, your capabilities are going to outweigh the circumstances, and you will be a resource to somebody else. And then that person also is going to become another resource to somebody else. And I'm pretty sure somebody's listening right now, probably taking ideas, say, "Oh, I'm going to build a business on this." Well, fine, you go and do that. But at the end of
Please.
the day, right, is just getting out of the stigma, the the veterans are broken. Yes, we struggle. Yes, we have a bad day. Who doesn't have a bad day, right? But we have a very positive view on things because our adaptability, how adaptable we are to overcome obstacles and face challenges head on. That's
Yeah.
the beauty of navigating transition, is you get to reflect and what matters most for you, right? So if you have a family, it's for you and your family. If you aren't by yourself, what matters more to you, and how you to overcome those challenges, right? How to reconnect with your family, with your friends, how to, find meaning and purpose, and, how to connect or find that tribe or that community that's like, okay, that's us right here. So
Yeah.
simple. To me, it's simple. Okay, community, thrive, tribe. Okay, that equals veterans. And then from
Right.
there, anybody else outside that, I still go and extend my hand. Hey, how can I help you, brother? It's
You
just
know,
let me help you with this.
and there's
Okay.
something because in that comment, right, you said like there's something to being of service to others, and I agree with that a million percent. Mainly because I've reflected on this a lot. We all have stories that we tell ourselves
Mhm.
about why we joined the military, and while I think there's an element of truth to that, for me, I wanted out of small town America. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to travel. For others, it's for college money. For others, it's,
Yep.
whatever, to go to war or go to jail situation. I don't know. But ultimately, what it comes down to is I believe on a subconscious level, we were all called to serve something bigger than ourselves.
Yes.
And so, if you can sit with that for a minute and really explore your time in service and understand that that's what you were doing, you were serving something bigger than yourselves, you get out and you reflect on it, you can start to build something that isn't, or do something, find a job that is in service to
Mhm.
others. And I think that's kind of the key, right? Is being that servant and finding ways to serve your
Yeah.
community. I think any thoughts on that?
Oh, 100%. I will tell you this, right? So I'm a bona fide resident of the island of Puerto Rico. So I was born in the island of Puerto Rico, right? So if you didn't tell because my accent, well, now you know. So I was born in Puerto Rico, and I went to school. I played baseball out there, right? So Puerto Rican, might
But
as
you
well
were
put
good as
Southern,
shit at
right?
baseball too, weren't you? You
So and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna be in the Marine. So I'm the only Marine in my family. And my father was an Army. My brother, my oldest brother from my dad's side, he Army, 101st Ranger, Green Beret, retired. I was like, I'm not even gonna get close to this guy, you know. So he was phenomenal. And I joined the Marine Corps, and I started doing my serving. Went to war, came back, back to war, did my deployment, did what I was asked for me to do.
Yeah.
And the reason why I said that the commitment and service goes beyond our call to duty is that a lot of people. So as a resident of Puerto Rico, I wasn't able to vote, right?
Mm,
So I wasn't able to vote. And that probably somebody would have said, "Well, why are you serving then?" I was like, "Because I believe in commitment to service. I do. I I generally believe in being there for my brothers and sisters, my left and my right, and being there, and pay my taxes just like, right. Puerto Rico is a Commonwealth, so I pay my taxes like I was supposed to. I did that. I served my country, and the only reason now I'm more advocate and I'm more spoken in things because I'm out of the uniform. But I wasn't able to vote, and to now, like now that I am a resident in the state where I live in California, so now I can say, okay, now I can go and vote, and things like that. And people say, like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I serve. That's all you need to know.
right.
Like, so when it comes down to driving politics or anything, brother, I served the military honorably. because I really believe in how it is to be a patriot, meaning sacrifice, put your dreams and life on hold for the sake of others. That's
Yep.
what you do at
Yeah,
any
man.
point. And that's what I did. So nothing special, by no means. I just did it because I really believe in the commitment and I needed to serve beyond my capacities, which I did. And now I get to share with you and interact in LinkedIn. I don't have no other social media. This is the only one I have. So I just love the fact that you can reflect on all those things. So yes, it was a call that I
Yeah.
answered, right, many years ago, and I lived it, and I would not change it. Like if they say, oh, so if you could, maybe you could have become a resident of a state and you would be able to vote. I was like, yes, I could have done that, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay being recognized as my home of record, my
Right.
little island, and serve just to show others that I can serve. I mean, it's only a small percentage of people
Right.
who serve. So, when they use some words and you don't wear the uniform, I have a
Yeah. Right.
heartburn with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
matter who you are, I do have a heartburn. But
Dude. So,
it's a good. To me, it's a good experience. It's my foundation. Like building, and again, it's still building, it's still learning, and I'm taking this approach. I think I'm gonna take more full speed when it comes down to like maybe getting into seeking a job or all these other things. I'm applying for higher education, trying to get a grad program in public service. So again, because I do believe that we need to serve, and the more of us is out there serving in any capacity, the better it's going to be for us, as long you don't compromise your values and character.
and that's so important, man, because you can be in service, but if your intentions and your
Mhm.
values and morals aren't in the right place, then your
Exactly.
service means absolutely nothing. I love
Yeah.
that you speak to that. So that was going to be my next question to you. Is like, it sounds like you're really navigating the transition really well, with a lot of, from where you were at in your last leadership position to bouncing ideas off of one another and really taking
Mhm.
care of each other, to really sitting with yourself, going through that program, and learning some tips, tricks, and tools. Like, how do you plan, like, you say you're getting a degree in public service so that you can
Mhm.
continue to serve, but ultimately, like, what direction is your life headed? What do you think, where do you see Carlos in the next 6 months, when you're a year out from your transition?
Yeah. So I see myself, right. I have a mentor through ACP that I got it
I
from,
love that program,
right.
man. My
Beautiful.
mentor is amazing.
Yeah, his name is Drew, and he is a phenomenal individual. I have to say he is my. We only know each other virtually. He is a friend. I really mean it when I say he's a friend, and he has helped me to see things in a way that I was like. He always say, paraphrasing, right? If there's any decisions we can make with zero regrets, right? And I was like, oh, absolutely. So that's why I'm taking this journey the way I'm taking it in my approach, which is going to lead me to what I want to do. At the end of the day, is I want to, be an entrepreneur. Uh, Perhaps being in the areas of executive leadership, coaching, consulting in that area, but on my own. I'm willing to seek opportunities, in consulting firms and everything, so I can get my feet wet in that area, because it's different when you're in a corporate world.
Well, I would argue I may or may not know of a space where you can learn how to do that stuff without having to go to corporate America. Shout out Stronghold.
I know. I got you. And so it's a lot of those opportunities, right, that I'm reviewing, because I really think that there is so much we can offer out there, you know, and it's just to take like, okay, you know what, go in and walk out, shake somebody's hand. Hey, how you doing today? And And I think once you put your resume and your background uh, as a service member, yes, I get it. The person who is going out there and has been doing the corporate world entire their career. Yeah, that's good. They understand that. But for us, we bring a different aspect, and it's just that our credibility, right? How our career will project a person who is trustworthy, hard worker, has great work ethic, and then how competent they are, right? Like they understand that in order for you to succeed, you have to be competent, learn new skills, become adaptable, be dynamic and be clear with your vision, things of like in that area, and then finally being capable, right? Believe
Yeah.
in yourself that I
That's a
can
big
do,
one. That's a big
right?
one. Believing in
Yes,
yourself.
you
I
have to.
struggled with that. I struggled with
Oh,
that a
I,
lot.
I think I think we all do because we have the. I was reading something about Marcus Aurelius that he said the thoughts that you got in, it's paraphrasing, that he what you invest, right, the thoughts that you have in your mind is who is going to you what you're going to portray,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So right, so if you tell yourself like, oh man, I don't believe in this, you have to find way to like, no kidding, reflect truly on what matters to you and have that conviction,
Yes.
because we're not the first ones and we're not the last ones. That is the conviction there. We
Yeah.
can do it, simple. It just we just gonna work on it. And I think we have that because we have the strength. We know we are, overachievers. We can do that,
And we
so.
can and in that we can set the foundations because we
Mhm.
know we're not the last ones so that the ones that come after us don't have to have it as bad as
Exactly.
we had it, right? Like, I think back to 2015 November when I was retiring and how much different my journey looks than even just your journey from
Mhm.
April to now. And it's like I wish somebody would have been there to set that foundation for me to follow
Yeah.
along too. And I think it's so important. And you're absolutely right, man. It's so
And that's
great.
that's that's one of the things that I do. If I connect with somebody, I tell them on my messages. I was like, "Hey, I see you going through Allegiance Vets, right? It was the skill bridge that I went to, and I connect with a lot of people. I finished the skill bridge in April, and I'm connecting with people that are going through skill
Yeah.
bridge now. And I tell them, I was like, look, if you have questions about how to transition, let me know.
Right.
Or, hey, I know this person that has a good program on how to transition. I don't know if he's going to charge you. I don't know X, Y, and Z, but if you just have questions, just let me know. At the end of the day, I'm not, like I know there's some individuals that like they have a service and there's a pricing in there. I get all that, but me, I'm okay where I'm at right now, financially. Not that I'm oh wow, no, I'm okay. I'm comfortable.
Right.
So it gives me, right, certain conditions, right? You set yourself set conditions to do what you love, and I love helping people. The Marine Corps taught me for 28 years that even though you are a hard charger, you can help people. I remember being in Iraq, participating in major operation Phantom Fury, Fallujah, and then I see in 2005 we participated in different operations. Those operation still current that I remember because we lost a couple people there that were dearly needed, close to my heart, but we set conditions and set security for the Iraqi people to have the elections the following year.
I was
And
there when that
seeing
happened. I
them,
remember that.
right, in '06, seeing
Yeah.
them like with their ink, and they were happy, and they was like, and I was like, wow, whatever you want to believe of it, right? Like, because later on, of course,
Right.
but you did something for them.
Yeah.
To me, that outweighed everything else.
Well,
So
I'll be the first to tell you, I commend you because I give a lot of shit away for free too, and just out of the goodness of my heart, wanting to help
mhm.
others. But eventually, you're going to have to charge for that because what
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
find is people not willing to invest in themselves are the hardest people to help.
yeah,
And I don't say that with malice or anger or anything like that.
mhm.
It's just a fact. If you're not
Yes,
willing to invest in yourself, then you're not willing to take the information that I have and apply it correctly to
yep,
make your life better. And I think you've probably run across some people or helped some people like that that just, you try to meet them where they're at and they just aren't where they should be to be able to implement the things, or they
yeah,
just won't implement the
mhm,
things. and
yeah,
and so, oh man, Carlos, dude, we're running out of time. I really
yeah. I
appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
being here today. I want to give a shout out to you for being here to do this. I want to give you the opportunity, kind of on the fly here, to think about if you know anybody who's transitioning that would be willing to come on here next week and have this same conversation with me. I think I want to start getting the guests to nominate somebody else, because I've been making the call to action all week, but nobody's biting on it. So maybe, somebody from your network will see this, and if you want to nominate somebody, that'd be great. If not, we're going to do this every Friday as long as I have one veteran that can come on and is willing to be vulnerable, tell their transition
Yeah,
story. So this is your call to action for those of you that are listening, for those of you that will see this later on YouTube and through the podcast host. Please reach out to me, DM me. I promise you I'm a friendly guy. I respond to all of my DMs. I respond to all of my comments. Just ask Carlos. He'll tell you.
yes,
I genuinely don't want anything out of this other than you to come on and help your fellow brothers and sisters live better lives in the transition. So if you're willing to do that, reach out to me. I think Carlos is going to nominate somebody. I'll reach out to them. If you know of somebody.
yeah. I again, I'm probably he's gonna be like, nope. What are you doing? But I will say, if there's a person that you can gain a lot of it is in from this person, learn from this person. I would say it's my retiring officer, Colonel Gil Juarez. I can reach out to him and ask him and see what his availabilities are. Maybe not will be right away, but he will. I'm pretty sure. And again, I'm speaking on his behalf, and he probably was going to text me. I was like,
That's
"What are you
fine.
doing?" But
That's
it's
fine.
fine. But
Tell him
he is.
if he's on LinkedIn, I'll reach out to him myself. I don't
Yeah,
care.
no, no, no. He is a genuine person, like really
Awesome.
genuine, and he really loves people in a way that I do, and I think you and anybody else will benefit to hear him. Very meticulously, very articulate, very good
I love
resource
it.
for anybody.
I love it, brother. Dude, tell everybody where they can connect with you, reach out to you. You said the only social platform you're on is
Yeah, it's
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. We are connected with Adam. So if you're in Adam's network, you can reach out. Carlos Jose Rios, and we can connect. I'm more than willing to connect with anybody, share my views, perspectives of life, anything. If you just want to have an informal call or anything, let me know. I do it all the time. I've been connecting with people, and I appreciate Adam for having me. I really appreciate this, and let's just keep thriving, brother. And
Yeah. Yeah, man,
spreading
dude,
the gospel.
means the world to me. Thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Carlos Rios. And let's not forget the Stronghold membership reopens on October 1st, creating a lot of value. If you didn't see my post today, you should go check it out. We're doing some really awesome things in there, things beyond even my wildest imagination, with really helping veterans out and understand what's going on with themselves and their business. So love to have you in that community to create more value and just help heal our brothers and sisters. Carlos, again, thank you so much for being here. And as long as I've got another veteran, we'll be here next Friday doing the same thing for another rousing episode of Transition Talks. Thank you guys
All
so
right,
much, and we'll see you next week.
all
Take
right.
care.
Take care, brother.